Oh, hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to Remember 11. Let's just jump straight back in and carry on where we left off, shall we? Because I'm curious to see where this is going to go. Because we're still setting up at the moment, although plane crash may have happened. The bell in the clock tower echoed solemnly. I checked my wristwatch. Just about 4 o'clock. The clock tower told me the time, with not a minute of deviation. A metallic sound that was like the coarse voice of an aged man alerted me of the hour at hand. The snow danced violently to the sound of the bell as the raging winds stirred it, Though what I saw were twinkling and sparkling particles of light, an infinite number of angels dancing and rejoicing at the advent of a great gospel. Just wait. Just wait a bit longer. Just a bit longer until you... A bolt of lightning streaked across the ominous sky. The sound of the holy bell was denied by a roar filled with rage. The thunder continued resounding in succession 2 times, 3 times, and the earth shook in unison each time, letting out a hateful groan. Man, that is some writing right there. The flashes illuminated the sky with a pale light. Then, a shadow that I couldn't miss appeared in the light. The shadow came up from behind me and stretched towards my feet. Who's there? The cabin of the plane pitched violently back and forth as if giant waves were making sport of a small boat. The passengers, powerless to do anything, let out pitiful screams. In the midst of it were voices crying, voices screaming, voices praying. I looked out the window. I wondered where we had fallen to, our current altitude. The world outside had turned to a muddy grey. The tips of the airplane's wings went beyond the fog, covering my field of vision. The wings were now bending inward, like a huge bow might, looking as if it could break at any second. I quickly pulled Yuni off me. I pushed him into his seat and tightened his seatbelt with all my strength. In case something happens, curl up like this, the way a pill bug does, okay? In case something happens? What's something? Is this plane gonna crash? It's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, but just to be safe, okay? No. I'm scared, Kokoro. Yuni clung tightly to me once more. I forcefully pushed his shoulders back against the seat and tried to calm him down again. Yuni-kun, do Oni-chan a favor and please listen to what she says. Just stay there and don't leave your seat, understand? Why? Why can't I? Kokoro, are you going somewhere? Don't leave me all alone. Don't be silly, I'm not going anywhere. Hey, even if I wanted to, there's nowhere else I can go now, right? But, come on, be a man. Don't start crying on me like that. Look, I'll hold your hand. Just like I promised, okay? I firmly clenched Yuni's hand. Large teardrops tumbled from Yuni's watery eyes. For an instant, a flash of lightning rushed through the sky outside the window. A thunderous, snapping, crunching roar followed. I reflexively turned my eyes downward. The fire was at my feet. The white page before my eyes was illuminated by the lightning. It is her. Makes sense. Who's there? I turned around, saying this as forcefully as I could. It was a faint shadow of a person in front of the door. Hiccups. However, the fierce wind and the dancing snow prevented me from seeing who it was. Even if the silhouette was impossible to make out through the thick white curtain of snow. Who was it? I called out once again. The shadow gave no answer. It was slowly moving closer. Feelings of fear and distress began to grow inside of me. I was backed up into a corner of the roof by the mysterious shadow as it slowly drew nearer and nearer. The shadow didn't stop. Lightning bolts glittered in the distance like flames. The well-honed blade struck the earth. A silhouette could be made out in the backlight. In that instant, I finally figured out what that shadow really was. Reeling from the greatest shock yet, the airplane sunk rapidly. By now, it was clear that the crew had no control over the plane. The small craft lost its balance completely, writhing and twisting like a snake. The lights had died. Darkness was all around. The sounds of shrieks and screams stabbed at my ears. A maddened passenger began screaming. A strong jet of air could be felt blowing in from somewhere. The scent of oil penetrated my nose. And the next moment... Before I noticed, I was dancing in the air. Released from all restraints. Time stops. The snowstorm stops. And I am swallowed by the pure white world. The particles of light dance around me. The sound of the bell still reverberates in the air. as if it was reciting the beginning of a solemn ritual. Divinely, gently, ever so softly, I start to dissolve within the light. All my senses are disappearing. My vision is gone. As if it were being slowly peeled away, my consciousness departs me. A deep sleep I come to know long ago. My existence, I am now here. An explosion roared from a rift in the port side. In an instant, the aircraft was engulfed by raging flames. An ivory-coloured mask fell from the ceiling, slowly swinging back and forth like the lifeless body of a convict who had just been executed. This might be the end. I tried to accept my coming fate. However, in my right hand there was a small palm, strongly, desperately calling for me. Even if it's only him that survives, I have to protect him. I won't let this warmth disappear from the world. Get down. I rapidly push the oxygen mask over Yuni's face and forcefully push his head down to his knees. Kokoro, I'm scared. I'm scared. Save me, Kokoro. I don't want to die. 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 Our altitude continued to drop. The airplane struggled violently in a last-ditch effort at resistance. By now, the flames had reached the inside of the cabin and sadistically licking the ceilings, drawing ever closer to our heads. It's gonna be alright, trust me. I'll definitely protect you. I held Yuni's hand tightly. Well then, there's that plane crash I was alluding to. I knew Tadamo was all gonna be okay. And the chance of the plane crashing was 0.0001%. So much for that, huh? There's a lot of characters involved. Is that the murderer lady, girl? Very cool. I think this is going to be a good one. Wow, of course it is. I slowly open my eyes. An unfamiliar ceiling, the scent of a freshly washed pillowcase. Everything around me seemed different from the norm. It was a bizarre feeling like I'd never experienced before, a feeling that something was wrong, but I couldn't quite tell what. Where am I? I turned my head and looked around. Some sort of room. A bed beneath my body. That's all I could figure out. Everything else remained a mystery to me. I gathered all my strength and tried to get up from the bed I was lying on. Intense pain immediately shot through my body. I couldn't even understand where the pain was coming from. Every joint in my body, my muscles, my insides, all of them were crying out in excruciating pain. I writhed in agony. What's wrong? You should be lying still. The door opened and a woman rushed into my room. She knelt down and gently helped me back into bed. You don't remember? Enduring the pain coursing through my body, I took a closer look at the woman's face. I'm sorry. Have we met before? She frowned as a confused look appeared on her face. Oh dear. I wonder if it's amnesia. Amnesia? So you really don't remember anything about me or this facility? I took a good long look at the woman. Brown skin with ash brown eyes. Her features didn't give you the impression that she was a typical Japanese person. Maybe she was half Japanese. In any case, I can definitely say that I haven't met her before. I'm really sorry. It's alright, you have nothing to apologize for. You probably hit your head. Falling from as high up as you did, it's no wonder. Falling? A shiver ran down my spine as that word left her mouth. The buried memories resurfaced one by one as a myriad of images ripped through my mind. The plane filled with agonized screams, the terrible explosion, the scorching crimson flames, the thick black smoke, and that tiny palm I held in my right hand, the palm pleading desperately for my help. Kokoro, I'm scared, I'm so scared. Help me, Kokoro. Where is he? Where's that boy? Did he make it? He made it, didn't he? I threw off the blanket and jumped up from the bed. But the next moment, a scorching pain once again ran through my body, draining any remaining strength it had left. And once again, I collapsed back onto the bed. Come now. What are you doing? Can't you see your body isn't ready to move yet? That look of hers, filled with love and affection, reminded me of the Virgin Mary. A gentle smile, so kind, so beautiful, a smile so charming it even made me slightly jealous of her. She carefully tucked me back into bed. Amazingly, when the palm of her hand touched my neck, the pain and anxiety started to subside. Excuse me, could you please tell me what happened to the boy sitting beside me? Beside you? What do you mean beside you? The plane that crashed. There should have been a boy sitting beside me. He was 11 years old. His name was Kusuda Yuni. When I said that, her expression suddenly changed. What is this? Huh? How would you know about him? What do you mean, how? A boy named Kusuda Yuni just happened to be sitting in a seat behind me. That's enough. What are you people plotting? Plotting? You people? Couldn't understand what she was saying. When our eyes met again, her expression had become cold and stiff as she stared at me sharply. There was no longer any trace of that Mary-like countenance to be seen anywhere on her face. Who are you? Why are you really here? Why am I here? That's what I'd like to know. But who am I? Well, at least that's one question I can probably answer. I was intimidated by her coercive attitude, but I was able to lift my body and start talking to her. My name is Uyukawa Kokoro. I was one of the passengers on a plane that crashed. Before I could finish, a strong slap flew across my cheek. Stop messing around, there are some things you shouldn't joke about. The woman's voice had become hoarse. Her fingers and hands shook as if an anger that filled her to the brim had finally boiled over. I was dumbfounded, with no idea as to what was going on. Just what had struck a nerve with her. Was she hurt by something I said? I see. So this is all a trick, wasn't it? All those odd things you had said a while ago made me curious at first, but that was just part of your act, wasn't it? To make me laugh. Are you supposed to be a medium or shaman performing a channeling or something? If you were going to put on such a cheap act, wouldn't it be better if you just asked me straight out right from the start? You know everything, don't you? I boldly opened my mouth. I think you're probably misunderstanding something. Please just stop already. Stop with this shameless act of yours. But I'm not acting at all. Then what are you planning? Why would you use the name Uyukawa Kokoro? Because that's my real name? I'm a third year at Kumaiken Women's University. Uyukawa Kokoro. I was on an airplane going to Wakanai when an accident happened. Stop it. How could you possibly be Uyukawa Kokoro? She declared firmly, face distorted in agony, tears of desperation welling in her beautiful ash-brown eyes. But as I was still trying hard to hang on and gather my own strength, she hit me with something I had no way of expecting. Is it really that much fun pretending to be someone who's dead? Huh? They're still trying to play dumb, even now. The girl named Uyukawa Kokoro was no longer in this world. She's dead. But of course, you should already know that, right? No? Dead? What did she mean by dead? I was right here, wasn't I? I was still alive, right here, right now, wasn't I? I was pretty certain I was still alive. But why would she make up a lie like that? Yes, a lie. She must have been lying. But even as I thought that, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't fight off the chill creeping up my back. I couldn't find a single word to say. My mind went completely blank. In any case, even though I don't know what your plan is just yet, if you really want to pull one over me, I hope you'll at least try to do a better job of it. Leaving me with a look of disdain, the woman walked toward the door. Ah, there's one thing I wanted to say though. She stopped at the door and then turned around and continued. Now that things have come this far, I have no intention of stopping with my plan. So don't you dare get in my way. In those quiet words she left behind, amongst other things, I could feel a distinct sense of sadness. After the woman left the room, I became lost in my thoughts. There was a lot of things I wanted to think through. However, I didn't know where to start, and I definitely didn't have enough information to make sense of it all. I don't know anything yet. Where am I? Is Yuni safe? Who is that woman? If I ever wanted to find out, I couldn't just stay here, alone with my thoughts. I dragged my injured body out of the room. The scene in front of my eyes was quite surprising. A modern dining table and a set of rather uncomfortable looking chairs. Looking around, I noticed an induction cooker and a deep sink. Deciding to explore further, I enter a sizable open-plan living area. A sofa of clean, simple design stood in the center, and a huge plasma screen took up the wall. A spacious room with a high ceiling and a window. At first, it gave off an air of freedom. Its straight, sharp lines, however, make you feel a sense of tension and strain there. There are no signs of life in this living area, nor is there any warmth. Just what is this place? I had expected to see hospital trolleys everywhere, but it seems I was mistaken. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen any medical equipment since I stepped out of the room I woke up in. This place isn't a hospital. But if it isn't a hospital, what is it? So you really don't remember anything about me or this facility? Facility? Facility for what? I was becoming more curious by the moment. I wandered around the room aimlessly, inspecting it more closely. There was a window in the kitchen. The window spanned the length of the wall, from the floor to the ceiling. Beyond the window spread a darkness, darker than black. Occasionally sparkling lights could be seen floating downwards, most likely snow. There wasn't much more to be seen from the window, except for the reflection of the room I was in. Something resembling a computer stood on a desk, near a divider between the living area and the kitchen floor. I say something resembling a computer because there was no actual computer anywhere to be seen. A 17-inch display monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse are all that stands on the slick white desk. The cables from the equipment made their way under the flooring. There's a huge door in front for a front entrance, and 4 others, more plain-looking doors. In the corner of the kitchen, there's also a staircase with a handrail leading somewhere downward. After walking around the room on my wobbly legs, I tried to make out a floor plan in my mind. Although, with that said, this image is most likely far from perfect, and that woman that I saw before seems to have disappeared. My joints produce sharp bursts of pain whenever I move, but I don't feel like returning to the room I woke up in. I decided to... I better do my save, but it's going to make it go weird again. I decided to... investigate the doors. They were placed near the 4 corners of the square space that made up the kitchen and the living area. The first door, in the upper left corner of my plan, was the door I came out of before, so there was no need to investigate it. There were 3 doors remaining. First, I decided to take a look behind the door to the right of the main entrance. No one in here, but the white lamp hanging from the ceiling lights the room brightly. This room has no soul, sorry to say, but it feels as if there are definitely people living here. I quietly place my right hand on the doorframe and lean in and look inside. As I thought, the room was empty. Was it just my imagination? With that thought in mind, I left the room. Let's see now. What should I do next? Go downstairs. I opened the door. Apparently this place is being used as a storeroom. There are provisions, fuel, medical supplies, miscellaneous daily supplies, all sorts of equipment and so on, evenly spaced and neatly placed on the shelves. There's a bare pipe stretched across the ceiling. There wasn't a single window in the concrete walls. A basement, huh? If this is the basement, then would that mean that the floor I was just on was the first floor? I was only beginning to comprehend things little by little, but because I had no idea what was up with the situation I was now in, even this was an important discovery to me. I heard a sound like a groan coming from somewhere, a low mechanical tone that shook me to my core. I didn't know what the sound was. Ignoring it for now, I slid into the spaces between the shelves as if weaving myself through a crowd in rush hour. It was about as wide as the floor above. There weren't any places I could call interesting, and I didn't think anyone could be hiding anywhere around here. Wait. I heard a faint sound. It sounded like a small animal running around. Perhaps a rat had settled in here. When it comes to rats, I can handle them. I wouldn't say I can't handle rats, however, I had no interest in looking for one so I could capture it. I returned to the first floor. But before I could finish climbing the stairs, I felt someone's presence. As I glanced out from the kitchen, I saw the figure of a girl sitting silently in a dining chair. The girl had her head bowed. I could make out her face from here, but I was pretty certain it wasn't the brown-skinned woman I met earlier. I tried to loosen up. Excuse me. Calling out her, I approached her. There's something I'd like to ask you. The girl showed no reaction. She merely sat there without moving a muscle, as if she had been carefully placed there by someone, like a figure at a wax museum. I'm sorry, are you listening? I stood right beside her and bent over to take a look at her face. I gasped sharply and jumped back. I dashed back to where the stairs were. Misstepping, my foot slipped. I gripped the handrail for a moment to regain my balance. My other hand was already covering my mouth. If not for that, I think I would have surely screamed. That's impossible. Why? Why was that girl in a place like this? Is this a mental hospital? She turned as delicately as a ballerina to face me. There's no mistake. The girl in front of me is unmistakably her. This is who we came to see. That girl who had murdered 12 innocent people in a hospital in Iwazumi City. Inubushi Kaiko. There's no way I could possibly forget that face. As if to say hello, Inubushi slightly nodded her head. I awkwardly returned a nod. I have to say something. I knew exactly how I felt, but it seemed as if I had completely forgotten how to speak out loud. Such situations are often attributed to a lump in the throat, or the lips becoming too dry. But this was different. I'd literally forgotten how to utter a word. In front of my eyes was the murderous monster, the serial killer who had single-handedly rewritten the definition of crime in Japan. I felt as if I would let my guard down for even a moment, I could easily become the 13th victim. My heart was pounding hard and my skin was tingling as if an electric current were running through it. The awkward silence continues. Inubushi kept staring at me expressionlessly. Her face was devoid of any emotion. It was hard to tell if she was thinking anything at all. I tried to hide my panic behind a calm smile. I don't think I was much good at it. But both my cheeks became stiff like plaster. Then, the girl returned the smile. It was a very natural, sincere smile. I thought it was safe to let my guard down a bit. Of course, not as far as to let her read me like a book. But after seeing such a gentle smile, there really was little I could do. Come on, she's a serial killer. Although my reasoning was trying hard to build up a strong, impenetrable wall, my instinctive curiosity took the best of me. I was climbing over the protective wall and taking a step forward into danger. Inubushi-san? You're Inubushi Kaiko-san, right? My voice quivering and gave way to my nervousness. The girl stayed silent, as if she didn't understand what I just said. Inubushi-san, right? I asked the same question again, but the girl just tilted her head. It couldn't be a different person. No, that's impossible. She had this DID, right? So she could be whoever she could be. She looks exactly like the girl from the photo in the file. Ask indirectly? How do I say this? You were the one behind the incident in Iwazumi. Right? Or am I wrong? She looked at me as she was lost in thought, but then shook her head gently. You're lying, right? I know all about it, okay? The truth is, I did some research regarding the incident. As if trying to gauge her reaction, I slowly stuttered through that sentence, but Inabushi Kaiko just looked at me with her mouth shut. She didn't even look the least bit flustered. She tilted her head as if in wonder and gave me a quick glance, then averted her gaze. She threw me a second glance, and at that moment, as if having lost her temper, she stood up forcefully. She turned my way and started walking vigorously towards me. Flinching, my face twitched as I shrank away. In what seemed like a moment, she had my back up against the wall. And even then, the girl didn't stop moving. Breaking through my protective wall and ignoring all my warning sensors, she entered my personal space. There was nothing more to be done. She was at a distance that would make any kind of resistance futile. What are you doing? Immediately after I squeezed out those words, the girl firmly gripped both my shoulders. I tried to scream. I took a deep breath, but before I could let out a sound, the girl covered my lips with her palm. It's all over. I braced myself and squeezed my eyelids tightly shut. Nothing happened. Timidly, I opened my eyes. Now that I look carefully, her face looks as if she's on the verge of breaking down in tears. Her moist pupils seem to be eagerly appealing to me for something. Just what is this supposed to mean? I didn't know what was going on, but at least I didn't feel any danger or hostility. My stiff body slowly regained its power to move. At the same time, the girl removed her hand from my lips. What is it that you want to say? While giving me a look, which was apparently asking me for something, the girl shook her head back and forth. Huh? What is it? Even when trying to ask for something, the girl spoke no words. Again, all she does is shake her head. I won't be able to understand if you keep silent like that. Say something. Anything. The girl pointed to her own throat. While doing so, her other hand is flapping and waving as if fanning the air. A gesture? If that's it, this action probably means you can't speak. Yes, the girl nods over and over again. In short, she isn't able to speak. However, that wasn't all that she wanted to tell me. After I deciphered her last thought, the girl had stuck out, the palm of her hand toward me. Wait here, is what this probably meant. Okay, I get it, but where are you going? Without answering, the girl left my side. She's looking around the kitchen restlessly, in search of something. Suddenly, looking as if she found something, she ran to one of the doors of the four corners of the room. The girl's figure disappeared behind the door. It was the room I'd entered before. After a few moments, the girl jumped out of the doorway. Looking confused, she beckons me over. Did something happen? I rushed over to her. Ow. The pain I'd forgotten about was most likely coming from my limping knee. Somehow rallying my strength, I managed to reach the open door. The girl went inside as if calling for me to come with her. There was nobody inside the room besides us. Nothing had changed since I'd last been here. After I glanced around the room, Inabushi Kaiko tilted her neck as if to point at something. As she had a black felt tip pen in her right hand and a size A6 memo pad in her left, she had most likely found them somewhere in this room. She pushed the memo pad against the wall and started to write with the black felt tip pen. Before she finished writing, I took a peek at the lines that she had already scrawled on the page. I could make out the following. There were a lot of things I wanted to tell you, but before that, look over there. Over there? With the tip of her pen, she pointed to the corner of the room. There was nothing that felt particularly special about that area. Stretching, she held the pen high. The tip of the pen pointed toward the bed on the other side of the room. Was she trying to say there was someone hiding over there? Feeling uneasy, I advanced toward the back of the room, following her directions. I went around to the side of the bed, facing the window, and stopped. It was at that moment, something wriggling jumped into my field of vision. Instinctively, I turned my head toward it. It's Yuni. Yuni, you were saved? I blurted it out spontaneously. I took a closer look. There was no mistaking it. Sitting in front of me was Yuni, the boy I'd been searching for so desperately. Wrapped up in a blanket, Yuni sat crouched in the narrow space between the bed and the wall. Are you alright? Are you hurt? As I knelt down in front of him, I put my hands on his shoulders. What my palms felt was real. He's alive, right here and now. I gave thanks from the bottom of my heart for this blessing. My heart was racing from the joy of our reunion. A feeling of excitement ran through my body, powered by the hot blood charging through my veins. I could no longer hold myself back. My body rushed towards him. I wanted to hold him tightly in my arms. But who... That one word escaping from his lips stopped me dead in my tracks. Who are you? What do you mean, Yuni? It's me, don't you remember? I was sitting right beside you when the plane crashed. My voice was high and shrill with confusion. Yuni's hollow, lifeless eyes were staring off somewhere. They appeared lost, not focused on anything in particular. Are you mistaking me for someone else? I have no idea who you are. How? But you are Kusuda Yuni-kun, right? My name, how did you... Because you see... I swallowed the words I was going to say, stopping in the middle of my sentence. I suddenly realized something. This situation, this conversation, they were all too similar to those which had taken place a short while ago in that hospital-like room with that strange, moody woman. I had no idea who she was, but it seemed like she knew something about me. And now, although I clearly remember Yuni, he didn't seem to have any clue as to who I was. Although the roles were switched, the situation was basically the same. Now that I think about it, that woman's expression only changed when I mentioned the name, Kusuda Yuni. And now the person right in front of me also questioned me as to why I knew his name. What the heck is going on? Was it a bad idea for me to admit that I knew Yuni, I wonder? I looked at him again. His eyes were pointed somewhere behind me, as if they were staring at something far away. His expression was void of all emotion, like that of a faded and dried up doll. In my head, I could still remember how he played so innocently and cheerfully with the doll, a small plush bear. I felt as if I'd just lost something incredibly precious to me. I see. So you've forgotten. Well, maybe it's for the best. For the best? What happened on the plane? I wish I could forget that as well. Just a moment. I don't quite understand what you're trying to say. I haven't forgotten anything. From the time I got on the plane right up until the crash, everything. I remember everything. It took a while for me to digest his words. In short, what that meant was, Yuni remembered everything about the flight and the crash. However, he had no memory of me. Anyway, I believe that there's been a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I'm pretty sure I couldn't have gotten anything mixed up. I was very certain I knew Yuni. May I ask a question? My thoughts were interrupted by his whispering. The other people, what happened to them? You were on that plane as well, weren't you? I was unable to speak. My confusion had left me at a loss for words as it was. Needless to say, his questions didn't make things any easier for me. My memory stops at the point just before the crash. I had probably lost consciousness from the immense impact. When I came to, I found myself on the bed in that strange room. I see. He seemed to have made sense of something simply, listening to my silence. His lips trembled as he mumbled something. He went pale, his expression clouding over. From his pupils, large round teardrops started to form and shake haphazardly, sparkling in the light. It looked as if he hadn't lost any of his emotions at all. He just tried to seal them up deep in his heart. I'm sorry, but if you figure anything out, could you please tell me? You see, I've been looking for a certain person. A person named Kokoro. Her family name was Fuyukawa. I think it was Fuyukawa. That's me. I couldn't believe my ears. My body started trembling nervously. I tried to calm myself down at first, but then realized I had no control over it and simply gave in. So it wasn't even that dark-skinned woman who was acting strange. Even Yuni didn't recognize me as Fuyukawa Kokoro. To have my whole existence simply denied like that was frightening, to say the least. Is something wrong? Yuni asked in a delicate voice. Okay, I'm gonna save. This one could really backfire, I feel like. Let's do it. I couldn't help but tell him again that I myself am Fuyukawa Kokoro. No one else here. Only the me that's here right now, the true me. Yuni, listen carefully, okay? The person you're looking for, the passenger named Fuyukawa Kokoro, she survived. Huh? Really? Yes. Then Kokoron's alive? Where is she right now? Let me see her. Can you take me to her? Yuni seemed to take heart from this, as he moved closer to me. I knew it would most likely be useless, but I couldn't help saying it. She's right here. Fuyukawa Kokoro is right here. It's me. I'm Kokoro. As I told him that, the pupils behind his glasses sharpened. His face showed neither suspicion nor doubt, but complete and utter denial. Yuni glared at me, his expression hostile. Hey, what's all this nonsense you're trying to tell me? How can you possibly be Fuyukawa Kokoro? This is the second time I'd heard those words. As expected, he didn't slap me or anything, but his sudden change of attitude pointed to the fact that that was the least of what he wanted to do right now. I expected you'd say something like that, but it's the truth. Regardless of what anyone says, I am unmistakably, undoubtedly, and truly Fuyukawa Kokoro. I see. I don't know if you're trying to make fun of me, but I won't be fooled so easily. Now that I think about it, I never really told you that, did I? Kokoro was a girl. Yuni now had a triumphant look on his face, the meaning of which I didn't quite understand. Eh? And so? So it means exactly that. No matter how I look at you, there's no way I can think of you as a girl. Changing the way you speak a little is hardly enough to fool me. If you're going to try and trick me, the least you could do is try and look the part. Look the part? Now that he mentioned it, it had come to my attention that ever since I'd woken up, I hadn't had the chance to even glance at myself in the mirror. I was wearing clothes I didn't recognize at all, and it wasn't just my clothes that seemed alien to me. The 10 brutish fingers, the well-defined blood vessels crisscrossing the back of my hand, the rugged silhouette. I ran my fingers through my hair only to notice that its length and texture didn't feel like mine at all. Still not grasping the situation, I swallowed hard and turned to Yuni, almost crying out. Hey, you had a mirror with you, right? A mirror? You should have one, shouldn't you? It should be in your pocket, right? How did you know? Never mind that, just hurry up and give it to me. Still confused, Yuni took out his folding mirror. I quickly snatched it and stared at it intently. No way. Why? To say I was astonished would be a gross understatement. Reflected in the mirror was the face of an unfamiliar man. This isn't me. It isn't me, it isn't me, it isn't me. But the inside of my head is spinning, shaken and blended by the confusion overwhelming me. I need to see my face. My movements, disfigured and distorted, are reflected almost perfectly in the face of the man in the mirror I'm holding. What is this? Why did this happen? The eyes of the man in the mirror bulged like a lunatic's. He was looking straight into my eyes. I couldn't bear it anymore. I violently clapped the mirror shut and threw it against the wall with all the strength I had. I fell to my knees, letting out a low moan. My nerve endings had gone dull, senses numbing, all my thoughts thrown into the pits of chaos and assaulted by raging doubt and uncertainty. Who is that man? Am I that man? If that's me, then where did the me I used to be go? Who am I? My mind or my body? Which one is the real me? I don't know. Something has gone horribly wrong. The world wasn't the world I knew anymore. Now that I think about it, ever since I woke up, I'd been feeling a strange, uneasy sense of, for the lack of a better word, incompatibility. Now I finally knew the reason why. It felt as if the world was starting to reject me, and slowly I began to disappear. Overwhelmed by loneliness and neglect, my own existence started to fade. Anxiety took over. Everything that I am was replaced by a fear, which made me want to scream out in desperation. Help. Somebody help me. I lost consciousness. And now we need to wrap this one up because I let it go on a little bit long, didn't I? A little bit long because I was too interested in what was going on. But we'll be back tomorrow with more Remember 11. So until then, thanks for watching, Bruce, and I'll see you then.